The Ngong Hills are one of Kenya's most famous landmarks. Once covered in wildlife and wilderness, today this area is now home to one of Nairobi's newest slums, Gataka. Gataka is in its infancy, but it still has many of the problems found in more developed slums. Poverty, crime, alcoholism, and disease like HIV and AIDS are prevalent. Most of the people living here will earn less than $1 a day, and many are unemployed. Amidst this poverty and desperation are the children. Many are orphans or are from single-parent families. They are unable to go to school and are left to fend for themselves on the streets.
Kwa maana huku chini ukienda utakuta watoto wengine wanafaa kunia, mwingine hata anajikuna iko jifa anaokota kila kitu kwa mapipa anakula, na anakula kitu mbaya, anatutu kwa nguo, hata nguo yake hasafisi kwa maana hakuna maji, analala tu kichakani. Ni kama mnyama msituni kwa maana hakuna mzazi na mzazi hakuna chakula. Unajua shida yetu ni hii, wale watu wa taifa hawana mapato mazuri. Huwa watoto yao wanaumia sana, hata mabibi zao. Hakuna shamba, nyumba iko analipa. Tumbo inataka chakula. Bwana hakuna kazi, mama hakuna kazi. Mtoto hawezi kwenda hata shule, inakuwa ni shida yetu hii.
As if this were not enough, there are other even more hideous consequences for children being born into this slum. Many of these children's parents or guardians are forced to leave them behind in the slum when they go out to seek work. This is when the children are at their most vulnerable. The girls are often raped, and the boys are being turned to crime. In such cases, it's not unknown for children to have been killed for stealing, while others suffer the lifelong trauma and physical side effects of the abuse.
The life in children at Gataka, it's difficult because the children from 3 to 10 years, mostly these girls, they have raping cases in Gataka. When a child she's raped, she can get gonorrhea, syphilis, and HIV.
In 2007, so appalled by this situation, these people from a small Methodist church in the community started a self-help group and began a nursery school called the Emmaus Gataka Education Center. When the project first started, it was these individuals, impoverished themselves, who contributed their own time and money to try and provide an education, food, and clothes for these children. To help them create a more sustainable and permanent setup, the Kenya Children's Trust, a British registered charity, was formed and now works as the group's fundraising and advisory arm. The aim of the trust is to provide a safe environment for up to 60 of Gataka's poorest and most vulnerable children, ensuring they're clothed, receive 2 good meals a day, are educated according to the country's standards and syllabus, and are counselled for any matters which may adversely affect them.
Kelvin, stand up, Matiba. Come and read for us One Like a Steve. Start there.
One like a stick. One like a stick. Two like a duck. Two like a
Purity, at 11 years old, is one of the oldest in the class. Her story is not untypical of several of her classmates.
We don't have parents, we are just orphans, and we are living 10 children in our house.
And what happened to your parents?
They died through HIV.
Purity's parents died from AIDS when she was only 4 years old. AIDS is a common killer in the slum, and as part of their education, the children are taught about its dangers. Purity and her classmate wrote a poem to help spread awareness of the disease.
Ukimwi ugonjwa mbaya, wamaliza wanadamu. Ni kwa nini una hayo, unanyonya watu, unatesa ulimwengu, usi hadi magharibi, unaua kwa uchungu, mabwana hata mali. Ukimwi una huruma, ondoka nenda porini, umetuacha yatima, wazazi makaburi. Ndugu zangu na wenzangu, ugonjwa huu ni sumu, sijaribu kuchezea,
For Purity, this humble classroom has become a lifeline. She is finally able to get a basic education that will give her the opportunity to break free from the slum and its poverty. With this chance comes a hope that she will be able to achieve her dream, to become a doctor. For Purity and the other children, this school is not only about educational protection from the abusive nature of the slum. Food is critical when it comes to their complete care, as one of the teachers, Dora Umusaki, points out.
Some children come at the school, they are sleeping. When you teach a child, she can't answer anything. When you ask how him, he tell you that I'm hungry, I didn't eat anything since yesterday.
The time when we are hungry, we can't do anything because we are just sleeping where we have seated.
When it's reached at 10, you give her a cup of porridge. You get that child, she's now happy, she's playing, and even you ask her a question, she'll answer you, or what you have asked her, or what you have told her to write, she'll write.
Hungry stomachs can also lead children to crime or make them more susceptible to abuse, and this can have disastrous consequences.
If he or she has stolen something like this book, he or she is just going to jail.
Dora is from the slum herself, and not only teaches at the school, she has also adopted 9 of the orphans in her class, including Purity. While Dora's gift to these children is an extraordinary one, her own life is very typical of the people living in this community. Her only child died at the age of 3, shortly followed by the sudden and violent death of her husband, caught in a fight while he was drunk. Like Dora's husband, there are many people in the slum who succumb to the potent homebrew known locally as changar, which is drunk to provide an escape for the many unemployed and depressed inhabitants. Brewing alcohol is also one of the easiest ways for these desperate people to make money, but with a rise in alcoholism and its associated violence, this has dire consequences for the children.
You know, when they are not at the school, when they are at home, you can leave them like I myself here. This is the road here. They are brewing, and if I leave them here, if somebody can injure him or her, when you come, nobody will tell you who did that. That's why that's difficult for these small kids, because they don't know how to talk or they don't know how to explain who did that mistake to them or who was beaten them. They can't say.
Dora is helped by Trufena Rubai, a voluntary social worker in the community, who earns a small living by selling refried fish bones. Some of the money she manages to earn, she contributes to the adopted family. Together, these women can give the 9 children a home in Dora's tiny 2-roomed house, where they share 2 beds and a mattress on the floor. It may not look much, but for the children, they now have a roof over their heads, someone to care for them, and most of all, they are now part of a family. Another single mother, Helen Nyangweso, is also desperately trying to secure a living to help provide for her 2 children. To have somewhere for her children to go, where they will be educated and cared for while she is working, has been something that has changed her life.
Mimi nashukuru sana kwa vile hii shule ilipoletwa. Hawa watoto wangu wangeenda shule. Lakini ninaona faida kwa vile wanaenda shule. Ukishatokea shule wanakuanga wamekula huko. Kwa vile saa zingine nakuanga sijaweza kupatikana na chakula kwa hii nyumba, watoto wanatokanga kama wamekula, wanakuja wanalala.
For the children, being safe at the nursery means they can also enjoy being a child, free to play without any fear of abuse from the adults around them. Although still in its infancy, those close to the project have already begun to notice some significant changes in the children at the school.
Hata watoto wenyewe wanakuwa safi, wanaanza kuwa safi, hapana kwenda kukula matope, hapana kwenda kushinda kama wanalia, wanakuja hapa na wanasomeshwa, wanakunywa uchi, wanakula, wanafurahia. Sasa na wanaendelea. Sasa iko different, iko tofauti kubwa sana. Iko tofauti kubwa sana.
Despite the small improvements, there is still much work to be done. With no land or classroom of their own, the community have been renting this small mud hut as their school. With 60 children at different levels of education, the facilities are extremely limited, and the rent is an expensive drain on their precious resources. To give the children of Gataka a lasting legacy, the Kenya Children's Trust has managed to raise enough funds to buy a piece of land where the community will build a more suitable school in a much safer environment. The plan will be to build 2 classrooms where 2 fully qualified teachers and their assistants will be able to give a good education to the children in their care.
Tukipata mahali kama hapa itakuwa mizuri sana sababu kitu moja itakuwa ni yetu na tunaweza kutengenezea miradi zetu hapa. Tunaweza hata kuchukulia kitu kidogo ambapo tunaweza ongezea watu wengine, tunaweza ongezea kama miradi hizo za mbuzi, za ng'ombe na zisaidie hawa watoto.
Once the school is built, our next phase of fundraising will be to bring in advisors to help the community to develop ways of generating their own income through a series of community projects such as livestock management, organic farming, and a tree nursery, all of which is intended to eventually cover the running costs of the school and uplift the local community through the jobs and skills they will provide. Equipped classrooms and the means to pay teachers and carers will change a situation of desperation and despair into one of hope. It will mean these children will have a chance of escaping the poverty into which they've been born, and give them the opportunity to lead happy and fulfilling lives.